President Muhammadu Buhari has today presented to the nation the review of the nation's security strategy. The president is telling us how he hopes to secure Nigeria. And the court has ordered the federal government to begin process to recover pensions collected by former governors now serving as ministers and members of the National Assembly. Is it time to refund those monies? We'll find out right here on the program. Hello everyone and welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Wakimale at Channels Television's global headquarters in Lagos. It's Wednesday and you know what it means? It's not a usual weekday timing of the program. I mean the duration is 1 hour for today. Well, let's begin by bringing you up to speed on the crisis rocking the Edo State House of Assembly and the internal politics of the APC. Today, the Edo State House of Assembly has declared as vacant the 12 seats of the members-elect who have refused to present or who are not present at the inauguration into the 7th Assembly of Edo State, as well as 2 others who did not meet mandatory sitting requirement to continue as members of the House. The Deputy Speaker of the House, Mr. Yakini Idiaye, representing Akoko Edo State Constituency 1, said the resolution was reached at the plenary of the Assembly on Wednesday, the December 4th. For others who had not been inaugurated since the proclamation of the House, he said the constituents have been complaining and have come to that they want their voices and concerns to be heard at the House. So people who are willing to provide quality representation have to be elected to bring the matters of the destroyed constituents to the floor for debate and legislation where necessary. He also noted that the House also passed the 2020 appropriation bill with the number of the lawmakers present. Let's now check out some other political stories for you. Some of those we will not be discussing on the program, but which you need to know. Take a listen.
The Federal High Court in Abuja has dismissed some suits seeking the removal of Mr. Ibrahim Magu as the acting chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The plaintiff had sought Magu's removal on the grounds that the Senate had twice rejected his appointment and refused to screen him to take up the position in a substantive capacity. Delivering judgment, Justice Ijoma Ojukwu held that there was a lacuna in the law by not providing for the time frame within which a person could act as EFCC's chairman. She noted that although the lacuna ought not to be exploited to install Magu in office in substantive capacity without the Senate confirmation, it had given the president as the appointer the proverbial yam and the knife to do as he pleases with the appointment of the EFCC chairman. The Federal Executive Council at its weekly meeting today deliberated and approved 2 roads construction worth over 4 billion naira. The meeting, presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari, also gave the go-ahead for the procurement of animal vaccines. The Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, and his Agriculture and Natural Resources counterpart briefed State House correspondent at the end of the meeting.
Let's begin our main conversation tonight. The first one, that is, don't forget, our conversations tonight, on one hand, is the plan of President Muhammadu Buhari on how he wants to secure Nigeria. The other one is going to be the court order asking former governors who have served as ministers or as senators to refund the pensions that they've been collecting. Well, you know, that came from what the Zamfara State House of Assembly did before Serap now went to court, and they got a judgment asking the Attorney General to go and challenge what some of these state governors, State House of Assembly has done in terms of the pensions that are allocated to some of them. Well, That's going to be one of our conversations tonight. And also, don't forget that the House today has jacked up the cap on the 2020 budget. They've increased the budget from with about 300 million or so. We talk about all of those tonight, but our major conversation in the next few minutes is going to be about security. So President Muhammadu Buhari has clearly stated how he hopes to secure Nigeria. At least that is the fundamental role of any government. As part of moves to refocus the nation's security architecture towards addressing emerging threats across the country, the president has launched the revised National Security Strategy 2019. President Muhammadu Buhari will launch the document shortly before the commencement of the Federal Executive Council meeting at the presidential villa in Abuja, challenged all Nigerians to ensure that the document is implemented effectively. The 60-page document is said to be a product of extensive and rigorous collaboration focusing on human security with provisions to tackle present and anticipated threats. Let's take a closer look at some of these issues raised. We'll look at it from the point of view of a civilian who is very much interested, one of those who have been talking about security and what has happened in the country. And we'll also look at it from the point of view of those who have been in uniform and also taking part in some of these review of this document. The issues raised in the roadmap and how this affects the contemporary Nigerian security challenge. I have joining me tonight Mr. Yinka Odumakin, the public affairs analyst and the spokesperson of Afenifere. Thank you so much,
Good evening.
Mr. Odumakin, for coming on tonight. I also have Air Commodore Darlington Abdullahi, a member of the Security Strategy Formulation Committee. He joins us from Abuja studio. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Let me begin with you, Air Commodore. Give us a sense of what is different or what perhaps will make Nigerians happy about this document. Do you think that we have a document that should give Nigerians some kind of peace of mind, considering what we have seen in the past few years in the, in fact, in the last few months, we've seen the cases of rise in kidnapping, the cases of issues of herdsmen and farmer clashes. We've seen so many of these issues within the middle belt of Nigeria and some part of the northwestern region of the country. This document, is it tackling some of these contemporary challenges?
Thank you very much. There's no doubt that this is one of the best things that can happen to us at this very point in time. Recognizing the fact that, just as you said, there are a number of security challenges facing the nation. So Mr. President took it up to ensure that the National Security Strategy 2014 was adequately reviewed with a view to updating it to take care of the current challenges that are facing the nation, along with others that over the years have been in existence. And by so doing, the committee was put together, and with so much effort, came up with the 2019 edition. And I'd like to quickly state that this edition, that is the 2019 edition of the National Security Strategy, has taking care of most of the challenges that we are facing at the moment, starting with Mr. President's own directive to policy direction, to the nation, as well as his focus on, how to achieve especially the three key objectives of his administration. That is, talking about the security, corruption, and the economy. How to address them with a view to addressing other challenges as well, because they are all interrelated one way or the other. And with that, the National Security Advisor did a good overview of the whole thing, and then explaining how we came about the 2019 edition, as well as chapters 1 and 2 in particular of the National Security Strategy 2019, giving us the policy that's the policy aspect of the document. That is to say that when people keep talking about the national security policy, those are the policy statements. It's in chapters enumerated in chapters 1 and 2, and then chapter 3 in particular enumerated all the challenges facing the nation, to show the security challenges, to show that at least we are aware of most of the security challenges, and that efforts will be made to address them. And those efforts came by way of strategies clearly enumerated in chapters 4 to 7, in which all the challenges were taken one after the other, and in line with what the items were listed in chapter 3, and that is with the objective of achieving the policy directives that were stated in the Mr. President's own forward, as well as the chapters 1 and 2. Well, we talked about the
Commodore,
national,
apologies that if I may butt
values
in.
and objectives.
Apologies, Commodore. Let me butt in quickly.
Yes, please.
If you ask any
please.
Nigerian, for example,
Yes,
if you
please.
ask anybody living or who do business in between Kaduna and Abuja, they will tell you how scared they are to travel by road from Kaduna to Abuja. If you look at page 33 and page 34 of this document, it talks about strategic communication. There's always been concern about the communication between the agency, interagency communication. Also, there was a paragraph, or there is a paragraph in the document that talks about securing ungoverned spaces, some of the areas within our borders and all of that. These are some of the issues which a lot of people have raised, experts have said, these are some of the issues that have raised concern on the intelligence and how banditry has thrived and the issues of kidnapping, because these are some of the ways by which these things happen in the forest area and in the open borders. So what are the strategic things that you think is different from the past that should give, that if you tell Nigerians now, that should give them confidence that the Buhari government is serious about tackling security?
Definitely, we all know that these challenges that you have mentioned are interlinked with others, such as the porous border issue that we have had for decades. And you could see that efforts are now being made to address some of the border issues, because that's where most of the arms that are being used by the kidnappers and others come through unchecked. But with these measures being taken right now, it gives all the security agencies opportunity to readdress the issue of porous border and the inflow of arms, as well as other transnational crime that are taking place around the border area. Then there are the various security agencies have been working together to see how the issue of interagency collaboration can actually be improved with a view to achieving synergy in their operations. That is to say that with this in place now, and the sensitization that will take place thereafter, we will definitely see improvement in the area of operations of the various security agencies, particularly the aspect of interagency collaboration that they would have to, because there is a clear guideline on how they are going to, that they must work together as a team to achieve synergy in all this.
Commodore, apologies against the button. You know you are an expert in this area. Let's listen to a citizen, one that has had an agitated mind over time, Mr. Odumakin. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
What are your thoughts on the reviewed strategy on security? Now, are you at peace a bit?
Well, I think it's a very important document. We borrowed it from the United States of America. In 2012, America started this under President Bush. Done this a preemptive war strategy in terms of trying to look at how to preempt wars that might rise against America, basically from antagonistic countries, from what he called then radical Islam and the rest of them. But when Obama came, he changed the focus. Obama removed radical Islamism to terrorism generally, and said that revival of the economy of U.S. was critical to security, and that for global peace, he was talking about democracy and development. So in terms of, and that's why you saw that Obama started moving to Muslim countries, Afghanistan, the rest of them, to kind of engage. So, and in the U.S., the document is prepared by the executive and submitted to the Congress, so that both chambers are at the same level. Now, in our case now, I think that given where we are now, because this was started in 2014, it's now been reviewed. We've got snippets after 5 years. We've got some snippets of it, but clearly, we need to study this more, because there has to be strategic thinking going into this. For instance, Air Commodore was talking, and I think that was split with your father. Oh, border closure is on this document. And you ask yourself, what level of thinking has gone to this before you say, oh, let's close borders? You are not, you are a consumptive economy, you consume. You close border, you are not producing. Niger State is bigger than the whole of Southeast. We are producing nothing there. End of the month, they come to Abuja, give us more money, you have more land. Niger State is bigger than Netherlands. Netherlands is the fourth largest exporter of agric in the world. We are producing nothing from Niger State. Now you close borders without thinking of productivity. As we talk today, a friend coming from Ikoyi 3 days ago went to Swanket, wanted to buy 4 chickens. They said, no, you can't buy that 2. Others have to buy. So Esenko era is coming back again. Government has admitted itself that we don't have inflation because of border closures. After inflation, what follows? You have to devalue your currency. Now, xenophobia attacks is starting in Ghana over the border closure. So you weigh all these things very strategically before you take decisions on them. So we need to study this document very carefully. But what is the document saying now, like you said, about herdsmen terror? You say herdsmen and farmer clashes? No clashes. It's herdsmen terror we are dealing with Nigeria. What are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about kidnapping? All the various challenges going on across the country. So you cannot just say, oh, you are closing border because of rice. A few days ago, we saw the rep from Dara saying that, in fact, in Nigeria's border with Niger, in Katsina, is open. All kinds of things go down there. You close them, border. So we need to think through all these things in the vital interest of this country. It is good that we are reviewing the documents, but what are the contents of the review document?
Because, I mean, usually when you take decisions
Yes.
of this magnitude,
Yes.
especially a security decision,
Yes.
they have their disadvantages, they have advantages. A lot of people say, should we close our borders? I mean, should we open our borders at the detriment of our own economy? We say we are not producing much for us to feed on, but yet the little that we are producing, we are not able to sell because of the influx of these commodities from our neighboring countries. For example, they will tell you that Benin Republic, for example, imports more rice than it can consume. More of it, they say, coming to Nigeria. So there are pros and the cons to some of these issues. Mr. Odumakin,
Yes.
The big question will be, are we on the right track with some of what you have heard and seen today from this document?
Well, some of them, yes, but a lot of them we are not yet. For instance, like I can talk just about border closure now. If we are producing enough, we have enough, and you close your border, you don't have inflation. The government itself has admitted that it has triggered inflation. And like I told you, the next thing that follow inflation, you have to devalue your currency. So there are, you weigh.
Which one do you think is more, I mean, the fact that there's a major problem, because the president has said our consumption of oil has reduced by 30%. That means that we now see something that is close to an accurate number of our fuel consumption. It is a revenue has jacked up since the border closure.
Did we ever know what you are consuming in the first place? We never knew what you are consuming. There is no agency of government today that can give you the exact figures of what you are consuming. The corruption in that sector is still ongoing. Yes, border closure may reduce it a bit, but it's little.
If you were President Buhari, what would you have done in that case when there is so much influx of imported, fighting and battling your locally produced commodities?
There is nothing those imported goods are battling here. We are not producing. That's the truth. We go to Abuja every month to go and share oil money for Nigeria, VAT from Lagos, and you say, I don't produce anything. And you say you are closing borders. You can only create hardship. We are going back to the era of Esenkos of 1984.
All right,
where we have to go and queue for milk, sugar, and the rest of them.
Let's take a break, Mr. Odumakin,
Yes.
and when we come back, we'll finalize with Air Commodore on this issue of the president's idea and agenda on the security strategy for the nation. A lot of people will say contemporary security challenges require contemporary solutions. So how the solutions President Buhari bringing to the table matching the kind of challenges we face in Nigeria? We dissect this more when we return from this break, everyone. Join us again. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Let's continue our conversation. We have in our Abuja studio Air Commodore Darlington Abdullahi. Thank you so much for staying with us on the program, and Mr. Yinka Odumakin. I was asking Mr. Odumakin before we went on that break, if you were President Buhari, what would you do differently in terms of the security strategy and some of the issues that are on the ground?
Well, I think, like I said, from the snippet I read from the document, some of the measures they are outlining, well, are in the right place, but I disagree totally with the whole idea of border closure without looking at total implications. Like I told you, xenophobia attack is already happening in Ghana. We have thought that when you are talking about national security, we are talking of what happens between the actions you take in your country and what happens to you and your neighbors. Then you have to look at the whole framework, the linkage between the economy, because most of the current security challenges we're having today are basically driven by the poor economy. Most of the people young people that are going into insurgency and the rest of them, if they are engaged otherwise, they will not be doing so. How are we attacking this? And unless there are issues that have to link with this document. The whole question of the capacity of our economy to grow, to develop, which will not happen until you begin to trade architecture. Some people call it restructuring, some call it federalism. But on the basis of what they are doing now, you cannot achieve some of these objectives without revisiting the whole architecture of Nigeria.
So we are still moving in circles.
And we stuck around it.
Let me, Commodore, give us a sense of, because an average Nigerian is scared of kidnappers. An average Nigerian is scared of bandits. An average Nigerian is scared of what, in fact, he does not know might happen tomorrow to him or her. Because when a crime is committed, there is no CCTV camera to be able to capture what is happening. When a crime is committed, there is no 911 to call, a rapid response kind of situation. These are some of the issues where people who travel to as nearby Ghana, as close as Dubai, will say when they come back to the country, why can't we have some of this security architecture in our country? Community policing, state policing, these are some of the issues that are being debated widely in the country. We have not seen or heard some of these issues. Are we having a headlong tackling of some of these issues, these contemporary challenges? Commodore.
Thank you very much. Please, let me quickly make a point here that the border closure has never been said to be a permanent thing. And it's just an opportunity to address some of these critical issues that are affecting this nation. And we have seen, we are beginning to see the benefits of this within the short time. And we've heard from the Comptroller General of Customs, we have heard from various agencies, and even individuals that are beginning to benefit from all this. And when we begin to benefit from create opportunities, the employment, and so on, to fill the gaps that were identified by my colleague Odumakin, you will realize that more and more people will begin to, employment will be created for a lot of people. And this will take off people from some of the crimes that we're encountering. The issue of kidnapping, there's no doubt about the fact that we have had decades and decades of challenges leading to increasing rate of unemployment, people drifting into poverty and all that. These are some of the critical areas that were reviewed, looked at in the review. And as such, policies and strategies were enumerated in the document to address them. And just as the document has been launched today, various security agencies and beyond the security agencies, because security is not just about the security agencies. Human security aspect is most important. And failure to address those challenges help kind of generate a crisis as well. So it's obvious that even the MDAs, the security agencies, and all will take a look at this, review their own sectorial policies with a view to ensuring optimal performance in their own sectors, and this will go a long way to assisting the nation in achieving the peace and security that we all crave for.
Let me quickly come in. I give an example of the 9/11 experience in the United States. America moved swiftly, and they were very focused on some of the... They moved swiftly, it hit them. In 2009, Nigeria experienced what he has never experienced. Nobody ever thought that a Nigerian would think strap himself with a bomb and blow himself up. Those realities came into Nigeria We saw Abdulmutalab, a Nigerian who on the aircraft, who saw Boko Haram in the northeastern region of the country. So a lot of Nigerians are hoping that with this document, we might be able to see something that is direct, something that is more specific to some of the everyday security challenge of an average Nigerian. Perhaps that's the hope of an average Nigerian, and they hope that this document would have tackled it.
Definitely. If you look at the document very well, you notice that there is this aspect of all citizens' approach to security, all the government approach that will ensure that all elements of government, in terms of, look at the local government, for example. Local government has gone down over the years, and the gap created by the ineffectiveness of the local government system has generated a lot of problems. And you also believe that measures are being taken to address this. I mean, by way of the funding of local government with a view to making them more functional than they have been for quite some time now. So the various measures that were articulated in the document, they don't only address what the military should do, but rather is an all citizens approach as well as all government approach, because every citizen, every MDA has a role to play in bringing about peace and security in this nation.
So that we wrap up
failure
this,
to perform
sorry, apologies for butting again.
Yes,
so in essence, Commodore, if you can tell Nigerians, in terms of feeling it directly and in the immediate, part of this strategy, which of it are we going to see as an average Nigerian on the street immediately?
Well, the fact is that every Nigerian, particularly those, for example, that are working, they deserve what they have worked for. You know, that is in terms of salaries at the end of the month and all that. You know, those are things that directly affect the people, and the failure to pay salaries and so on have major effect on the people. So these are some of the issues that are also being addressed. That is, making the governments, state governments, and in particular, realize the effect of their failure to pay salaries and so on. You see some of this clearly stated in the document. That's all
right. We need to wrap up this part of the
individual of the people. Yes.
All right. Let me allow Mr. Odumakin. Mr. Odumakin, issues of state policing. You are one of those who have spoken about in the restructuring agenda that you've spoken about. And when we were planning this program, you came to mind because the agitations about security is deep down to the pockets of the average Nigerian. Poverty is one of those things that also affects the security architecture of the country. So in essence, if you look at this now, what would you say from your own arguments at Confab, your own argument at the platform of Fenifere, do you think are some of the strategic and critical points that the federal government should tackle immediately?
Well, clearly, like I said, there's no Nigerian who is sane, who will not identify with some of the aspirations of the security document. Like Air Commander said, but we cannot achieve any of those objectives on a long-lasting basis, except we go back to the fundamentals. In terms of, how do you want to say, okay, we are talking about all citizens' approach to security and so them. How do you do that when you maintain security architecture that concentrates everything in Abuja? The governors are just chief security officers in their states in names. They have nothing. The whole security architecture, they are skilled out.
So you're saying that the governors should take charge of their...
Of course, in every federal arrangement.
Because it's said that an average of 200 million or so is given to a governor every month for security
pocket
votes.
Pocket money.
No, why do you call it pocket money? It's
Because
security votes.
For what? Which architecture?
Are you saying they don't use it?
So just buy a few vehicles to support the police and the rest of them. What happens to the rest? So we are not yet until we address the fundamentals. Like I said that, yes, the strategy is good, but the strategy must rest on the template. And that template is not there now. And that's why I told the fact that Nigeria must go back to proper federalism. America, where we copied from, they are practicing proper federalism. I just told you now that even that document in America is prepared by the executive and submitted to the Congress. Here,
South Africa practices federalism,
the president took
but the experience a lot is the crime rate in South Africa is probably one of the highest in the world.
Well, South Africa is in transition. They came from apartheid. That architecture was not smashed. So the problems of South Africa are quite different from Nigeria. Before we abolished federalism in Nigeria, we saw the benefits of federalism in Nigeria. The best thing we can put out, many of the regions today were achieved under that arrangement. I've told people recently, go to University of Ife. When University of Ife was built, that university had an atomic energy center.
All right.
Which university is talking about that today?
So, we need to go now, and we do hope that this is not just a white paper.
No.
It's going to be properly executed and give Nigerians the kind of comfort and peace that they demand.
We hope so.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Odumakin,
for coming on. And Air Commodore Darlington Abdullahi, thank you so much for your thoughts tonight. They are indeed appreciated. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much.